Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. The Chinese Communist Party held its 73rd National Day on Saturday. Protests that came in response in multiple cities around the world. We'll bring you on-the-ground report from two that happened in California. Gas prices are rising in California again. The governor is looking to bring legislators back to the Capitol for a special bill targeting the oil industry. But an industry expert says shutdowns are to blame. And law enforcement is warning that a string of murders in the Central Valley may be due to a serial killer. We'll have the details of where and what happened. October 1st was the National Day in China. Protesters rallied around the world against the establishment of the Chinese Communist Party due to its long history of violence, human rights violations, and totalitarianism. NTD's Jason Blair brings us a report on two protests that happened in California's Bay Area.
Don't listen to the communists. Let's watch what they do.
Saturday was China's National Day. It's the day that the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, formally transformed China into a socialist country. Protests against the regime and its National Day took place in Berkeley and San Francisco, California.
Stop the occupation! Stop the genocide!
Today we are here with freedom-loving people around the world to fight against the evil China empire and to fight for the freedom of all the nations occupied by China. No freedom, no peace.
Shame on CCP!
In the morning, protesters went to the University of California, Berkeley, where the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in San Francisco was scheduled to speak. They delivered an open letter to the university saying that allowing the Chinese Consulate General on campus will, quote, contribute to the whitewashing of crimes committed by the CCP. Later in the day in San Francisco, representatives from a number of different communities and countries, including Tibet, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Philippines, Taiwan, and more, gathered in front of the San Francisco Chinese consulate. Speakers called out the communist regime for its human rights abuses and the disasters it has caused around the world.
Nearly 1 million Tibetan children has been forcibly taken away from their parents, forcing them to live in a colonial boarding school and cutting them off from their families, language, and religion.
Just a couple of days ago, there's two people. They post a social media, have some slogan, and then they get arrested. So there's, you can imagine this thing only happened in mainland China a couple of years ago. Now it's happening in Hong Kong.
Some protesters wore masks and sunglasses to hide their identities to protect their family still living under CCP rule. The regime is known to harass family members of people who speak out overseas. This protester urged governments to hold the CCP accountable for COVID-19, among other disasters.
I urge the U.S. government and all the countries around the world to seek compensation from China. That's number one. Number two, Communist Party is the evil that causes all the crisis here. Someone needs to take them down and take them out.
Valerie Sampson was a foreign student in Beijing at the time of the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989. She was arrested in the process. She comes to the protest every year because she sees that things keep getting worse.
As though we have not learned from the lessons of the past.
Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
Most drivers likely saw it since last week. California gas prices are moving up once again. While industry experts cite supply and demand, the governor is blaming corporate greed, and he wants to sign a special tax into law just for that.
Governor Gavin Newsom may be calling for an emergency legislative session over gas prices.
Today, I'm calling for a windfall tax to ensure these profits go directly back to help millions of Californians who are paying for this oil company extortion.
The windfall tax is a special tax for a sector of industry after it makes large profits in a short amount of time. Newsom said that the oil company's profits would be returned to consumers, but his office did not give details of how the bill would work. The legislative session closed on August 30th and will remain in recess until January. But Newsom hopes to call lawmakers back to Sacramento to vote on a tax for oil companies. That comes as over the last week, California gas prices rose by about 10 cents per day. According to AAA, the state's average gas price is at $6.38 as of Monday. The total rise over a week's period was 59 cents, making California the most expensive gas market in the country. Andrew Gross, a spokesman for AAA, said, "The regional differences in gas prices are stark at the moment, with prices on the West Coast hitting $6 a gallon and higher, while Texas and Gulf Coast states have prices dipping below $3 in some areas."
The degree of divergence from the national prices has never happened before. And oil companies, they provide no explanation.
According to AAA, tight supply from oil refineries shutting down are the main reason for high prices. Gross said at least 6 California refineries are undergoing maintenance and there is limited pipeline supply to the West Coast from locations east of the Rockies. Newsom said the price of gas should fall by 25 cents in the next 2 weeks.
Lunar New Year is now an official holiday in California. So are Juneteenth and Genocide Remembrance Day. State employees will get paid vacation on those days.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed Assembly Bill 2596 on September 29th, declaring Lunar New Year a state holiday. In a letter announcing the signing, he wrote, "It authorizes any state employee to utilize 8 hours of vacation, annual leave, or compensating time off in lieu of receiving 8 hours of personal holiday credit to observe the Lunar New Year." Lunar New Year is an event celebrated by many East Asian cultures. It's celebrated, often for close to 2 weeks, near the end of January or beginning of February, depending on the cycle of the moon. Newsom signed the bill to acknowledge the cultural significance Asian Americans bring to the state and welcomes all Californians to celebrate. Newsom also signed AB 1655 to observe June 19th as Juneteenth. It commemorates the emancipation of African American slaves and celebrates the contributions African Americans made to society today. In addition, April 24th is now Genocide Remembrance Day, after Newsom signed AB 1801. It allows public schools and community colleges to close to observe the holiday. It commemorates the Armenian genocide in 1915.
Police say that several murders that took place these past few months in Stockton are likely related. Detectives and officers have been working around the clock on the investigations. NTD's David Lamb tells us more.
A series of at least 5 murders took place in Stockton, located in California's Central Valley. Stockton Police Chief Stanley McFadden announced on September 30th they believe to have located a person of interest, and it's likely that the murders are connected. The homicides appear to have occurred in the northern part of Stockton in the evening or early morning hours. According to Stockton police, the victims were all adult men and were alone. One shooting death occurred on July 8th of a 35-year-old white male. In August, a 43-year-old and a 21-year-old of Hispanic descent were also found dead. And 2 more shooting deaths occurred in September. Both were Hispanic men in their 50s. The city of Stockton and Crime Stoppers are putting up a combined reward of $85,000 for information that leads to an arrest in this investigation. Police say to avoid isolated areas at night and travel in well-lit places. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Homelessness in San Diego is now a public health crisis. The county board will move funding and housing to assist unhoused individuals.
The San Diego County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to declare homelessness a public health crisis. The move directs the county chief administrative officer to work with city governments and the regional task force on homelessness to tackle the issue. Officials have discussed the lack of affordable housing for decades. They say the crisis has been exacerbated by pandemic lockdowns and continuing low wages relative to inflation. Some opponents said the board's action was a political stunt or misguided. Supervisor Jim Desmond said he was glad to see a broad approach, but said much work is needed to tackle the crisis. The supervisors also approved adding $500,000 to a flexible housing pool to help 440 families at risk of homelessness. The money will be administered as part of an agreement with a regional task force.
A high school in California has decided to abolish the titles of homecoming king and queen. This has elicited pushback from parents.
A California high school principal's decision to abolish the titles of homecoming king and queen has rubbed many parents the wrong way. The change replaced the titles with the gender-neutral homecoming royalty label. Michael Holt, the principal of Estancia High School in Costa Mesa, Orange County, told a group of about 10 parents that he made the decision on his own. According to 2 parents in attendance, he wanted to make the school more inclusive for non-binary students. The parents arranged a half-hour meeting with Holt to discuss the new policy. They demanded to know why they weren't informed about the changes before students voted for homecoming. The parents told the Epic Times that the school is the only one in the Newport Mesa Unified School District to adopt the gender-neutral policy. Holt did not respond directly to requests for comment.
The UCLA Molecular Science Building evacuated due to an at the time unspecified environmental hazard over the weekend. It resulted in an explosion.
An initially unspecified environmental hazard prompted an evacuation of UCLA's Molecular Sciences Building on September 29th. The Los Angeles Police Department reported September 30th that the hazard was caused by a student who inadvertently created a byproduct that resulted in a small detonation. No injuries were reported in the detonation and no property was damaged.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. A new building housing an art museum opened in Orange County. We'll hear from the heads who spoke at the ceremony about what makes the gallery special. For families that have children in hospitals, sometimes they need to feel like they are at home. That's what one corporation is providing to medical centers. And 2 endangered turtles have bred in San Diego, leading to dozens of babies. We'll have a look at the newborns. That and more on California Today. The Orange County Museum of Arts is reopening in Southern California. NTD's Jackie Rios went to the new location to hear from the incoming board president and see some of the displays.
On Wednesday, September 28th, a new cultural landmark gave a sneak preview to the press on the campus of Segerstrom Center for the Arts in Costa Mesa, California. The Orange County Museum of Art, or OCMA, will open on October 8th with a 24-hour celebration. Formerly, the museum's location was in Newport Beach. The incoming president described the motivation of the founders.
But the spirit that motivated these 13 women, the drive to connect people with art and artists, remains at our heart today. That's why we're so thrilled to be inaugurating this astonishing new building here on the campus of the Segerstrom Center for the Arts.
The CEO and director of OCMA talked about removing economic barriers.
And just as you feel that there's no hard and fast barrier in our building between outside and inside, there's no economic barrier to experience our exhibitions and our programs.
In addition, she explained there will be free admission for the first 10 years thanks to a generous donation. Also in attendance were Chief Curator Courtney Finn, OCMA trustee Anton Segerstrom, and the key architects from Morphosis, Tom Main and Brandon Welling. Construction for the new building began in September of 2019, with the new building being a state-of-the-art 53,000 square foot building. It contains several galleries, a museum shop, cafe, and a spacious roof terrace. All this is to have a public place for the community to appreciate art. Jackie Rios, NTD News, Costa Mesa, California.
Being stuck in a hospital bed can be a frightening experience for a child, and it can be every bit as frightening for that child's family. To ease the fear, NTD's Dale Thomas learns how one enormous corporation is teaming up with hospitals to help keep families close to one another during challenging times.
One of the most difficult things a parent can go through is to be separated from their hospitalized child. To make that struggle a bit less heartbreaking, the Ronald McDonald Family Rooms here at the Ventura County Medical Center, they're helping parents stay close to their kids and in a setting that feels less like a hospital and more like a home. We spoke with Scarlett Sabin, director for the nonprofit Ronald McDonald Family Rooms at the Ventura County Medical Center. She introduced the recently opened room at the medical facility just west of Los Angeles.
Here at Ventura County Medical Center, we have the main family room, and then we have a separate space called the quiet room where families can go in, put their feet up, or go in one of the private areas and just take a nap. And this is the only one in the world with two separate spaces, as well as the only one in a county hospital.
From the room's expansive kitchen, she explained how the McDonald's Corporation is teaming up with medical facilities to provide space for families who need to be together.
Ronald McDonald Family Rooms are located in major children's medical centers around the world, and they are just a safe space where families can come and take a break from the chaos of the hospital environment. And they're also special places because as long as the patient is well enough, they can bring their child down for a stay in the family room as well, just for them to have a break as well.
There's no place like home, but Sabin says the hospital's family room is the next best thing to being in your own house.
Families are going to find everything you would find pretty much in your own home without being at home, from a beautiful fully stocked kitchen to a fully stocked laundry room to just an amazing living area, just to take a break from that hospital while being, again, just steps away from their child.
The family rooms are open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m., and soon they'll be open from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. Sabin also reminds families that as long as their child is in the hospital, they're free to use their facility and there's never a charge.
So the families are welcome to come down here regardless of the length of stay of their child. As long as they have a pediatric child age 0 to 21, they're able to utilize our services here.
From planning to mission accomplished, Sabin says it took about a decade to get the room open, and all that hard work has finally paid off.
The program here in Ventura County started just over 10 years ago in the planning process and has now come to fruition. We opened about 3 weeks ago, and it's just been such an amazing partnership and journey to get to this point.
This recently opened family room in Ventura is already a success, and more family rooms are on the way.
Currently, this is the third one in California. One will be opening later this year in the Sacramento area, and there is a plan for one in Bakersfield in the next 2 to 3 years.
Sabin added that families and patients deeply appreciate all that the rooms have to offer.
You can just see the relief and the joy in the eyes of the families and sometimes the patients. A couple days ago, I was here and there was a patient here, and you could just see kind of the delight in her eyes of just not being in a hospital room at the time. And you come here and it's bright and cheery, and we sat and colored, and it was just such a special moment in the room.
The McDonald's Corporation and their local franchisees provided a great deal of funding to get these family rooms built, but Sabin says additional resources to keep the rooms fully functional are always appreciated.
We always need new corporate partners, we need families, and we need individuals to get involved, volunteer, and donate. You can visit rmhcsc.org/Ventura for more information about the Ventura Family Room.
For a child confined to a hospital bed, doctors, nurses, and medications, they can sure help. But sometimes the best medicine is knowing that family is nearby and can be at your bedside in just a matter of seconds. Bill Thomas, NTD News, California.
A Southern California zoo succeeded in breeding a species of the endangered turtles. Zoo officials have been monitoring them for 20 years.
It only took 2 decades, but a rare and endangered turtle species has finally bred at the San Diego Zoo. Zoo officials on Monday announced the arrival of 41 tiny Indian narrow-headed soft-shelled turtle hatchlings. For 20 years, conservationists from the San Diego Wildlife Alliance had closely monitored 3 adult turtles for any indications of breeding. Officials say it can be an extremely prolonged process, as the turtles can take close to 10 years to even reach sexual maturity. They found 2 nests over the summer containing 41 eggs. All survived. Officials say the hatchlings make the Alliance the first accredited conservation organization in North America to hatch the endangered turtles.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. Justin Herbert passed for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns to help visiting Los Angeles hold on to beat Houston. The Chargers' Mike Williams caught 7 passes for 120 yards, and Austin Eckler rushed for 60 and 2 touchdowns for the Chargers, who led 27-7 at the half. The Chargers posted 293 total yards in the first half, but punted on their first 3 possessions of the second, and then fumbled away a kickoff that led to another score. Dameon Pierce rushed for 131 yards on 14 carries, including a 75-yard touchdown run for the Texans. The Chargers improved to 2-2 after a rocky start for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. LA will play the Browns in Cleveland next Sunday. Chargers 34, Texans 24. The San Diego Padres clinched their first full season playoff berth since 2006 Sunday afternoon, despite losing 2-1 to the visiting Chicago White Sox in the rubber match of a 3-game series. The Padres officially claimed a wild card berth with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th when Miami defeated the Brewers in 12 innings in Milwaukee. San Diego had also reached the playoffs in the pandemic-shortened 2020 season. The Padres were trailing the White Sox 2-0 at the moment of the Brewers' defeat. Josh Bell stepped out of the batter's box as a crowd of 41,407 cheered. Lance Lynn gave up 1 run on 5 hits in 7 innings for the White Sox, who improved to 79-80 in the hopes of reaching 500 by season's end. Blake Snell gave up 1 run on 3 hits in 6 innings for the Padres. White Sox 2, Padres 1. San Francisco rallied from a 10th inning deficit on David Villar's 2-run walk-off single to overtake visiting Arizona and win its home finale. Jake McCarthy's 3rd hit of the game, a 1-out single, had scored designated runner Dalton Varsho from second base to put the Diamondbacks up 3-2 in the bottom of the 10th inning. With Mike Yastrzemski starting the inning out on second base, Wilmer Flores walked and J.D. Davis loaded the bases with an infield single, setting the stage for Villar, who hit the first pitch he saw into left field. The Diamondbacks trailed 2-1 entering the 8th but got an RBI double from Josh Rojas, leading to the late dramatics. Giants 4, Diamondbacks 3 in 10 innings. Brendan Rodgers homered, Herman Marquez tossed 6 strong innings, and Colorado ended a 3-game losing streak against Los Angeles with a win at Dodger Stadium. Michael Toglia and Sean Bouchard had 2 hits each, and Daniel Bard struck out 6 over the final 2 innings to pick up his 33rd save for Colorado. Trace Thompson had 2 hits for the Dodgers, who also saw their 4-game winning streak snap. Dodgers starter Tyler Anderson allowed 2 runs on 6 hits and struck out 10 in 5 innings. He didn't walk anyone. Rockies 4, Dodgers 1. And that's all for sports.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check our broadcasts on California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Ling Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.